Have you ever peeled back the lid of a creamy cup of yogurt thinking you were doing something good for your kidneys, only to wonder later if it might actually be hurting you? What if I told you that the very food millions of Americans consider healthy could be quietly raising your creatinine, pushing your potassium out of balance, and even bringing you closer to dialysis without a single warning sign? That's the hidden danger I've seen far too often in my patients. I'm Dr. Johnny, and I've spent years helping kidney patients navigate the minefield of so-called healthy foods. And let me be clear, not all yogurts are created equal. Some cups are packed with live cultures, gentle proteins, and nutrients that protect your kidneys through the night. But others, the ones that look the sweetest and the safest, hide chemical additives and dangerous minerals that can slowly destroy your kidney function meal by meal. The line between healing and harm is razor thin, and that's exactly why this video is so critical. Because once you understand how to tell the difference, you'll never look at the dairy aisle the same way again. Today, I'll walk you through the 3 yogurts every kidney patient can trust, and the 3 you must avoid at all costs if you want to protect your health. So stay with me, because the very first safe option might surprise you. It's a plain, simple Greek yogurt you've probably passed by 100 times at the grocery store, but inside it carries one of the highest protein to calorie ratios of any yogurt in America, and it may just become your kidney's best shield. When most people picture yogurt, they imagine something light, creamy, and safe. And for kidney patients, the very first question is, can this small cup actually protect me or quietly push me closer to dialysis? Let me tell you about Margaret, one of my patients in her late 60s. She used to grab flavored yogurts off the shelf every week thinking they were harmless. Her creatinine slowly climbed, and she couldn't understand why. When we switched her to plain, non-fat Greek yogurt, specifically Chobani, her lab results began to stabilize within just a few months. That's how powerful the right choice can be. So what makes this one special a 3/4 cup serving is only 90 calories, yet it delivers 16 grams of clean bioavailable protein. That means your body can maintain lean muscle and repair tissue without producing excess waste that spikes creatinine. Compare that to many healthy snacks with hidden sugars, and you start to see why this matters. And speaking of sugar, only 6 grams here, naturally occurring from milk not dumped in with syrups or additives. That makes it safer for diabetics, where blood sugar swings often speed up kidney decline. But here's where it gets tricky. The sodium content is just 65 milligrams, which looks safe on paper. But if you double or triple portions, something people do all the time, water retention and blood pressure can still creep up silently. The calcium, about 190 milligrams, strengthens bones that often become fragile in chronic kidney disease, yet excess intake can calcify arteries. And potassium at 170 milligrams sits in a gray zone. Early-stage patients may tolerate it, but for advanced CKD, even that number can be the tipping point toward dangerous heart rhythm problems. Phosphorus, too, is lower than milk or cheese, but still present at 150 milligrams, enough to cause itchy skin bone pain or vascular deposits if you aren't careful with portions. So how do you get the benefits without the backlash? The key is discipline. 1 serving a day, ideally at breakfast or mid-afternoon, gives you protein for steady energy without straining your kidneys overnight. And never ruin it with high potassium add-ins like bananas or dried fruit. Instead, stick to kidney-safe toppings like blueberries, apples, or even a sprinkle of cinnamon. Keep it cold, keep it plain, and remember that heating destroys the live probiotic cultures, the very thing that makes this yogurt protective. Because here's the truth, Chobani's live probiotics don't just sound good on the label. They actively reshape your gut microbiome, reducing toxin-producing bacteria that would otherwise poison your bloodstream and inflame your kidneys. Think of it as a silent pharmacy in every spoonful, calming inflammation before it scars your delicate filters. But only knowing this isn't enough, because the next yogurt on our list, thicker, richer, and famous across America, carries even more surprises. It may be your best shield or your hidden enemy, depending on how you use it. And that's where things get really interesting. If Chobani is like a lean athlete, then Fage Total 0% is the heavyweight champion of Greek yogurts. Its reputation in America is unmatched, thick, creamy, and often praised as the purest of them all. But for kidney patients, that thickness hides both a blessing and a potential trap. Let me share James's story. He's a retired teacher in Florida who struggled with chronic fatigue from kidney disease. He thought more protein was always better, so he loaded up on meats, eggs, and protein shakes, only to see his creatinine climb month after month. When he switched to Fage 0%, just one serving a day, his energy steadied and his labs finally started improving. The difference wasn't just the protein, but the way his kidneys handled it. Here's why. A 3/4 cup serving of Fage packs 18 grams of protein, one of the highest amounts you'll find in any yogurt. And not just any protein, this is complete protein with all essential amino acids, which helps preserve muscle tissue without flooding the blood with excessive nitrogen waste. Calories stay modest at just 100 carbs at 6 grams and only 5 grams of natural sugar. That means no wild glucose spikes, which is critical because unstable blood sugar silently accelerates kidney decline. Now here's the double edge. Sodium is impressively low at 55 milligrams, but the potassium sits higher than Chobani at about 220 milligrams. That's safe for early-stage CKD, but in advanced stages, it could tip your heart rhythm out of balance. Calcium lands around 200 milligrams strong for bone protection, yet stacked with supplements, it can harden arteries. And phosphorus at 180 milligrams is manageable, but still risky if combined with other high-phosphorus foods during the day. The secret weapon of Fage isn't just nutrition, though, it's fermentation. Because it's strained differently, the probiotic density is unusually high. These live cultures reshape the gut microbiome, reducing uremic toxins like indoxyl sulfate that directly scar your kidneys. The fermentation also creates bioactive peptides that lower oxidative stress, easing inflammation inside the delicate glomeruli, the microscopic filters your life depends on. So how do you eat it safely? Keep it simple. One serving a day, chilled and plain. Add kidney-safe sides like unsalted rice cakes, chia seeds, or a drizzle of honey if your blood sugar is stable. What you should never do is mix it with potassium bombs like bananas, dried apricots, or prune toppings. And don't bake with it. Heat destroys the very probiotics that make it powerful. This is why Fage stands out. It gives kidney patients one of the cleanest protein sources on the market, but only if used with discipline. Because too much of a good thing can quietly turn against you. But just knowing this still isn't enough, because the next option flips the script entirely. What if the safest yogurt for fragile kidneys doesn't even come from dairy at all? That's where our journey takes a surprising turn. Now, not everyone with kidney disease can handle dairy. Some patients struggle with bloating cramps or simply can't tolerate lactose anymore. That's where plant-based yogurts come in. And one of the most surprising kidney-friendly choices is Silk Plain Almond Milk Yogurt. Take Rosa, for example, a 72-year-old grandmother from Texas. She loved yogurt, but couldn't stomach regular Greek versions. Every time she tried, she ended up with gas and discomfort that made her days miserable. When she switched to Silk's almond milk yogurt, something changed. The bloating disappeared, her digestion improved, and her potassium levels finally stayed within a safe range. For her, this simple swap became a game changer. Here's why. A 3/4 cup serving clocks in at about 150 calories, but with only 5 grams of protein lighter than dairy, which means less nitrogen waste for struggling kidneys to filter. That's a big win for patients who already have high blood urea nitrogen levels. Carbohydrates sit around 14 grams with just 6 grams of sugar, keeping blood glucose swings under control. The fat profile is where it shines. With 3 grams of mostly unsaturated fat, this yogurt supports vascular health and reduces inflammation. Hidden inside is alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3, which improves blood flow and protects kidney filters from scarring. Sodium is just 50 milligrams, one of the lowest among yogurts, which helps prevent water retention and blood pressure spikes. And here's the real kicker: potassium is only about 60 milligrams per serving, drastically lower than almost any dairy option. That makes it safe even for advanced CKD patients who must avoid potassium overload. Phosphorus sits at just 40 milligrams, far less than traditional yogurts, making it one of the best defenses against bone disease and vascular calcification. On top of that, it's fortified with vitamin D2, giving an extra shield against renal bone problems and immune dysfunction. And don't forget the probiotics. Silk almond yogurt uses live cultures like Lactobacillus acidophilus and Bifidobacterium. They actively reshape the gut microbiome, suppressing toxin-forming bacteria and lowering the burden on your kidneys. That's something most plant-based yogurts fail to maintain, but this one delivers. So how should you use it? Stick to one serving daily plain and cold. Pair it with safe fruits like blueberries, apples, or strawberries for a refreshing snack. Avoid flavored versions loaded with added sugar, and never top it with granola mixes full of dried fruit and nuts that instantly turns it into a potassium phosphorus bomb. Silk almond yogurt proves that you don't need dairy to get a protective kidney-safe option. But knowing the safe choices is only half the story, because not all yogurts share these benefits. In fact, some of the most popular brands in America are hiding silent dangers that can push you toward dialysis faster than you think. And the first one on that list may shock you. Bright packaging fruity swirls a sweet taste that feels comforting. That's the promise of Yoplait Original. But for kidney patients, this innocent snack can quietly become a daily trap. Let me tell you about Robert, a 65-year-old retired carpenter. He used to grab 2 cups of Yoplait every afternoon, thinking it was a healthy substitute for dessert. He believed yogurt was always good for him, but within months his blood sugar spiked, his creatinine climbed, and his nephrologist warned him that his kidneys were under serious strain. He couldn't believe it until he looked closely at the label. A standard 6-ounce cup has about 140 calories and only 5 grams of protein. On the surface, that seems harmless. But the real danger hides in the 26 grams of carbohydrates and 13 grams of added sugar. That's nearly 3 teaspoons of refined sugar in one tiny cup. For someone with kidney disease, this doesn't just raise blood glucose. It accelerates metabolic stress, worsens insulin resistance, and piles more pressure on already fragile kidneys. But the sugar is only the beginning. The ingredient list reveals phosphate additives, stabilizers, and modified starches. These inorganic phosphates are absorbed by the body at nearly 90 to 100% compared to only 40 to 60% from natural foods. That means phosphorus levels can shoot up quickly, leading to itchy skin bone pain and vascular calcification problems kidney patients know all too well. And while the sodium per cup looks small, usually around 80 to 90 milligrams, it stacks fast. 2 cups plus a salty snack later, and suddenly blood pressure is surging and kidney filters are straining. Even worse, Yoplait's protein content is misleading. At just 5 grams per serving, it's too little to maintain muscle, yet still produces nitrogen waste that your kidneys have to remove. It's a lose-lose scenario. You don't get the muscle support, but you still carry the metabolic burden. The hidden additives make it worse. Artificial colors, emulsifiers, and ultra-processed fruit purees disrupt the gut microbiome, sparking inflammation that releases kidney-scarring toxins like indoxyl sulfate. Over time, these small daily hits pile up until lab results reveal the damage. Studies in the U.S. consistently show that high intake of ultra-processed foods correlates with faster CKD progression. And here's the sneaky part. Because Yoplait feels light and sweet, many people eat more than 1 cup at a time. That doubles the sugar, the sodium, and the phosphate load in minutes, overwhelming already struggling kidneys. This is why Yoplait Original isn't just a snack, it's a slow-burning fuse. It looks fun, tastes sweet, but leaves a toxic trail inside fragile kidneys. But only knowing this one danger won't protect you fully, because the next type of yogurt, the so-called Greek-style flavored versions, hide an even sharper double edge. They promise protein and probiotics, but for kidney patients, that promise can backfire in ways you'd never expect. Now here's where things get tricky. Greek yogurt has been marketed as the gold standard of health, thick, creamy, and packed with protein. But when companies add fruit syrups, artificial flavors, and sugar to these Greek-style yogurts, what looks like a superfood suddenly turns into a kidney hazard. Take Linda, a 59-year-old from Chicago. She switched from ice cream to strawberry Greek yogurt, thinking she was making the healthier choice. Within months, her potassium levels spiked, her blood pressure rose, and she felt fatigued almost every afternoon. When her doctor reviewed her diet, the culprit wasn't junk food. It was the healthy flavored yogurt she trusted. Here's why it happens. 1 cup of flavored Greek yogurt often carries 17 to 20 grams of protein, which sounds great until you realize that every gram of protein produces nitrogen waste that fragile kidneys must filter. In advanced CKD, that extra waste translates into higher creatinine and urea levels. The potassium load also creeps up because of added fruit blends, often 200 to 250 milligrams per cup. That's enough to push late-stage patients into dangerous territory where irregular heartbeats become a real risk. Phosphorus is another hidden enemy. Concentrated milk solids used to thicken flavored Greek yogurts boost phosphorus to 200 milligrams or more. And unlike natural sources, these processed phosphates are absorbed at almost full capacity, fueling bone pain, itching, and vascular deposits. Add 12 to 15 grams of sugar on top of that, and you've created the perfect storm blood glucose spikes, inflammation, and oxidative stress, all of which accelerate kidney decline. And don't forget the artificial extras. Stabilizers, emulsifiers, and sweeteners disrupt the gut microbiome, sparking inflammation that scars delicate kidney filters. It's ironic the probiotics you think are helping can be overshadowed by the chemical burden surrounding them. The biggest trap: portion size. Because it tastes indulgent, people often eat more than 1 cup or pair it with granola. That doubles the phosphorus, doubles the potassium, and silently pushes patients closer to dialysis. So while plain Greek yogurt can be a friend, the flavored kind is a double-edged sword. It dangles protein as a gift, but loads your kidneys with hidden sugar, sodium, potassium, and phosphorus. And here's the part that surprises most people. The next type of yogurt doesn't even look serious. It's colorful, it's sold in tubes for kids, and it seems too small to matter. But those tiny tubes hide one of the most dangerous traps for kidney patients. And once you see what's inside, you'll never look at them the same way again. They look fun, they look harmless, and they're marketed straight to kids, those little colorful tubes of yogurt you can squeeze and eat on the go. But for kidney patients, Go-Gurt and similar tube yogurts are not snacks. They're chemical cocktails wrapped in shiny packaging. Let me tell you about Michael, a grandfather in Ohio. He started keeping Go-Gurts in the fridge for his grandkids, but ended up eating them himself as a quick snack. It's just yogurt, he thought. How bad could it be? Within months, his potassium levels jumped, his blood pressure shot up, and his nephrologist had to cut entire foods from his diet. What seemed like a harmless treat had become a hidden threat to his kidneys. Here's the science. Each tube looks small, but inside is a blast of high fructose corn syrup, a sweetener that spikes blood sugar even faster than regular sugar. For kidney patients, that means worsening insulin resistance and the buildup of compounds called advanced glycation end products. These toxins inflame and scar kidney tissue, pushing creatinine higher and GFR lower. The problems don't stop there. Stabilizers like carrageenan and modified starches are added to make the yogurt smooth, but they trigger gut inflammation. That inflammation produces toxins your kidneys must filter, raising the burden on organs that are already struggling. Meanwhile, protein content sits at a weak 2 grams per tube, not enough to support muscle, but still enough to produce nitrogen waste. It's the worst of both worlds: little benefit, plenty of stress. Potassium is another hidden trap. A single tube can pack 150 to 180 milligrams, and people rarely eat just one. 2 or 3 tubes at a time, and suddenly potassium climbs high enough to risk dangerous heart arrhythmias. Add the artificial dyes Red 40 Blue 1, and you're asking your kidneys to process synthetic chemicals that don't belong in the body at all. And let's not forget the acidity regulators like citric acid, which give that tangy taste. For healthy kidneys, clearing acid is easy. But for damaged kidneys, this worsens metabolic acidosis, a condition where blood becomes too acidic, directly lowering bicarbonate and speeding kidney decline. The biggest danger of Go-Gurt is the illusion of safety. Because it's small and made for children, many adults assume it's harmless. In reality, it's one of the fastest ways to overload weak kidneys with sugar, phosphorus, potassium, and chemical stress. So here's the bottom line. These tubes aren't a fun snack. They're ticking time bombs for anyone with kidney disease. But this isn't where our story ends. Because once you know which yogurts to avoid, the real question becomes, how do you use this knowledge to protect your kidneys and stay out of dialysis for good? The final part of this video will give you that hope, that plan, and that motivation to take action starting today. Remember, protecting your kidneys isn't about perfection. It's about making smarter choices one step at a time. Even something as simple as choosing the right yogurt can lower creatinine, calm inflammation, and give your kidneys the relief they need. So I encourage you to stay mindful, stay consistent, and believe that small daily actions can create big changes in your health. If you found this video helpful, save it so you can revisit these tips anytime, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. That way you'll never miss the latest medical insights and practical advice to safeguard your kidneys and overall health. And most importantly, hold on to hope. Your kidneys may be fragile, but with the right knowledge and daily habits, you can slow down disease, avoid dialysis, and continue living with strength, dignity, and peace of mind.